Well, good day, and welcome to Mental Health and You. I'm your host, Cynthia Timms. Well, by the time this airs, it'll be January, and the holidays will be over. Maybe not in your mind, not in your psychic, but it'll be over on the calendar. You would have survived the family, the friends, the shopping, the annoying phone calls, I'm assuming. Now, you didn't survive though the stress. You didn't survive the loneliness. You didn't survive the depression because maybe for a little while you got a reprieve. Maybe. I know I'm one who has felt lonely even in the midst of family, even in the midst of friends, even in a crowded room. So what do? You're back alone. It's January. Now what? It's a new year. Now what? So we have what we call today a gathering of peers. A gathering of peers for the holiday season and for all seasons. I'd like to introduce to you Ms. Cecilia Brown.
Hello.
Peer support pioneer in New York City and the country. And next to her is peer support specialist Natasha Phillips.
Hello, thank you.
Okay, I see y'all ladies, when you even think about it. So it's January. Everything, the Christmas tree is down, the what you call the presents have been given. They've been sent back. Maybe the phone calls have died down just a little bit. What are you doing for you now? We can start. Natasha, you got that look in your
Well,
eye.
I'll say for me, this has been my first Christmas. I have 3 daughters and 3 grandkids. So this was my first Christmas without them. So it was definitely different. I did feel alone, and now that it is January, I am still feeling that feeling. And it's just a day-to-day thing that I'm just dealing with.
And how do you deal with it? I mean, I know just to deal with it day in and day out. I mean, you're a peer specialist. We've been trained to support others.
Yes.
But who's supporting you?
Exactly. And some things.
What's supporting you?
What's supporting me? Well, I would say, being that I am a peer support specialist, I do have a good support group around me. So I'm not totally alone in that aspect. I just miss my children a little bit. But due to technology, I miss them and don't miss them because we can video chat now these days.
Right.
So that put a smile on my face to know that they are only a phone call away. So that is how I've been coping with it so far.
Now, just to enlighten those who still may not know what a peer support specialist is, what is a peer support specialist?
A peer support specialist is someone with experiences that is willing to talk about it and relate to someone else who can relate to their own experiences and help them move forward with their situations in life.
And how does that training enhance? How does that training help you in this time?
Oh, the training has helped me tremendously because, as I said, I've gone through something where I'm missing my children. So besides the video chatting that I do with them, I also do knitting and crocheting. So I make a lot of stuff that keeps me busy, and it helps me to keep my mind off of one situation to another thing. If that makes
Yes, it
kind
makes
of sense.
sense, of
Yes.
course. And what about you, Ms. Brown?
Well, the holidays, it has been a little tough. I've lost my 2 aunts, and I'm always thinking of my dad, who's not with us since 2010.
Wow.
So that comes up. And there's also, you talked about the loneliness. Sometimes that comes up. I know we have social media, so I am on Facebook.
Yes.
But it's not the same thing as having a human connection
Right.
with a person. So what I'm trying to do is go out a little bit more with my friends and go with my family. So I have that person-to-person contact rather than just a screen. But I still do that. I do the video conferencing. I do conference calls. Like I think I mentioned to you last time, every month I have a conference call on Sunday with a group that I co-founded called Surviving Race.
Surrounding race,
surviving.
surviving.
And the reason why that came about is because in 2014, this is the year when a lot of black men were being killed by the police. And I started to worry because I have a son, he's 24, and I started to worry about him, and I started to worry about my other nephews and cousins. I'm
Right,
like,
right.
oh my God. So when crisis happens, sometimes I'm able to create something. And I created with other people who were also upset about it. And we have about 600 members on Facebook.
Wow.
And I sort of take it out of that, and we have a conference call so that people can talk live on the phone. And, you know, we're trying to do a surviving race retreat in 2021 and bring people together and really talk about what it's like to be African American or a person of color. We're going to talk about white privilege because the group is made up of people who are white and who are black together so we can figure out what to do. They're all peers. So I know that the best way to deal with things that happen in life is through peer support and through the peer movement. And I know that we can move it forward for everybody. I strongly believe that. So I'll be letting you know. We're looking at
Absolutely.
Atlanta. We were talking about Atlanta before. So we're looking at Morehouse. We're looking, you know, so we're just sort of fact finding.
Right, right.
And just to sort of find out where the best place will be for people, what location.
And what's the name of the group again?
It's called Surviving Race, the intersection of injustice, disability, and human rights. But we shorten it by just saying Surviving Race.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
you'll look out for that. Ms. Brown is going to give you more information as time comes.
Okay.
But in the meantime, you know.
Well, in the meantime, you know, this holiday season, I haven't been really into the holidays, like
Yeah.
shopping. I sort of seen it and sort of said, I'm not even going to get involved. All these emails, I'm not even going to, you know, and just decided to just focus on what's important for me and how I
Yes.
feel. Like, I don't have to just be pushed in to buying things or, to, you know, going into the stores.
I know what you mean. I know as for myself, I gave up shopping like 15, 20 years ago. Not because of any religion thing. It's
Yeah.
just, I just couldn't take the stress.
Yes.
This idea of having to buy gifts,
Yes.
you know. And after, you know, it's like, well, it's Jesus' birthday. What you going to
Right.
give to Jesus?
Right, right.
You know,
That's
so
true.
I mean, I was at a point where I just had to buy gifts for everybody, even if it was just a pen set or something.
Yeah.
And just being on the lines,
Yeah.
dealing with traffic, dealing with the stores, people, you know, pushing up against you,
Yeah.
yelling, the screaming. I mean, just for my own, you know, sanity, I had to give it up.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
for me, you know, what has helped me is just maybe giving to others in the way of peer support,
Yeah.
as in this show,
Yes.
as maybe donating my time,
Yeah.
you know, maybe helping out in a soup kitchen,
Yes.
you know, just donating clothes, goodwill, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can I
yeah,
give?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the holidays to me.
Yeah.
But then, yes, but the loneliness.
Yes.
It was around Christmas time that I experienced the first major like death, a loss in my lifetime. December 21st, I lost my grandmother.
Oh, I'm sorry. to hear
yeah.
You know, and that was like over 30 years ago,
Yeah.
but it was like new. But you know, so I thought about that a lot, and I thought about like you. I lost an aunt a few years ago. I lost my mother, my father. You know, so you know, I have relatives, whatnot. I have friends and peers, but for me, it's like, what can I do? What can I say? What can I, you know, how can I give back to others?
Yeah.
So coming through this season, it was, it's been hard, it's been lonely, but you know, I'm here still.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, so talk to me, Natasha. You talked about, you know,
Well, As you mentioned, I'm also big in community work. So I'm affiliated with an organization called WAPW. We are Phenomenal Women, which is a domestic violence group, supporting women who go through domestic violence and having them to talk to. I'm also a peer support for them as well.
Right.
So that is something that I enjoy doing. I enjoy giving back, doing soup kitchens, donating my clothes, just being outside. On top of that, I also have my own knitting workshop, which I teach to people with mental health issues. As I teach knitting
You
and
want to
crocheting.
advertise that? You want to talk about that?
I definitely want to talk about it because it's something that I've done over the winter. So I have a meetup group called She Knots, and it's a peer support group for people such as myself and others that might be lonely, lost some family members, and just need someone to talk to. So we gather together and we knit. So for the last month, we have been knitting and crocheting hats for the homeless.
Wow.
Oh, very
Yes,
nice.
yes,
Wow.
which is great.
That's awesome. I mean, is there a website? Is there, where do you meet? Where's
Where
this
we
location?
meet, I can't think off the address off the top of my head. It's in Manhattan. It's on 72nd Street. I think it's called the JCC. Please don't.
Jewish Community Center?
Oh,
Huh?
yeah.
Yes.
The Jewish? Okay.
It's
Yes.
on Broadway, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And every Saturday we're not going to be there this Saturday, the 28th, but every Saturday between 3 and 5, you can come and learn how to knit or crochet and also donate hats to the homeless. And we're doing that from now up until, I believe, February.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
Okay, well, we got to keep that in mind.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's something that makes me happy because it's always great because we also do like children. And again, it's just for people who just want to be a part of something, who feel like they don't have anything else and want to learn a new skill, a new trade, and have fun.
Well, that's great. I mean, so you're doing something, Miss Brown, you're doing something, Miss Phillips. You know, I just found like, you know, this is all part of peer support.
Yes.
You know, whether we know the word peer support, whether we know of it, whether you're certified or not.
Right.
This is all part of it.
Yes.
Right.
You know, how can you, it always helps me to give back.
Yeah.
You know, just to do for others.
Yeah.
You know, maybe stay busy to a fault sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
that is
for
true.
me, it's like, I don't even know how to relax at time. So in the new year, how can I relax? What can I do for me? Yes, the show is one thing. I sail. I'm a sailor. You know, we talked, you know, we did
Yeah.
a show on sailing.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful. That's like, I mean, that's like a goal of mine. I hope to take pier sailing one day.
Yes.
That would be great.
I want to go up the what you call it, the Long Island Sound, right into the what you call it, Atlantic Ocean,
Oh,
and just sail away.
I look forward to my ticket.
Okay, I'll see you a
Yeah.
ticket.
I look forward to
You
that
know?
sale.
You know, but now I'm going to continue doing that. So that's something.
Yes.
You know, but I think you talked about maybe like holistic that you're involved with, if you care to.
Well, there's a she's a African American woman. She actually lives in Georgia, and I've known her for a very long time, and she's a social worker too. She has some lived experience, and she's been creating aromatherapy oils from her ancestors.
Wow.
So it's been for her, that's been healing, and so she's been giving me a couple of them. So I think aromatherapy is really important.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And you can just get your own. You can get a diffuser. You can get
Yes.
like lavender and different
Different scents. Yes.
different scents.
Oh, awesome.
I think that's helpful.
Way back
Yeah.
in the day, in another lifetime, when I was in school for massage therapy, I took aromatherapy.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I took Reiki,
Reiki, yes.
you know, and it was just awesome. I took acupuncture, all of
Yes,
that I got into.
that's a good
And it
thing.
really works.
So Reiki is like a healing, you know, for your listeners, is a healing energy through touch. And I remember it was 9/11, September 11th.
Now, Miss Brown, we're going to go to break. Just hold that thought.
Oh, sure.
But we're
Okay.
going to go to break. I mean, our listeners are anxious. I'm on the edge of my seat. But we're going to go to break right now.
Okay.
And we're going to talk back, and we're going to talk about some holistic forms of peer support. We'll be right back in a minute.
Sure, I look cute now, but when my owner lost his job, it was rough. I was living on the street, and one night, me and this Cocker Spaniel got into it so bad, I wound up looking like an ice cream cone. I cried a little bit, but thankfully I got rescued, so I'm running, I'm jumping, all back to my old self. And I'm ready to give unconditional love, even if you put a lampshade on my head.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Well, welcome back to Mental Health and You. And before we broke, excuse my Bronx English.
Broke.
We were talking about, Miss Brown, Miss Cecilia, you were talking about Reiki. We were talking about some holistic forms.
Yeah.
And you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah. Well, for everyone who experienced or was around September 11th, that was a really tough time for New York. A lot of people, we lost a lot of people at the World Trade Center. And I was just feeling really depressed about it. I didn't know anyone personally, but it's still, they're humans, they're human beings, so they're part of us. So a friend of mine called me and said, I want to give you a gift. And I would like to, I'm having a training class for Reiki practitioners. And she said, don't worry about the money, because that's the first thing. Well, how much is this going to be? And she said, don't worry about it, just come. And I went for like a month, every weekend. And I learned so much about myself and about other people, and I learned how to facilitate touch. It's a technique, so you have to be taught how to do it. And it's very healing, and it really changes you through wellness, and if you're depressed, it helps you with that.
Right.
I mean, it's not a miracle, but it touches you in ways that you don't know how you're feeling. And you're able to get that out through touch.
And what did you learn about, because when I used to work on the support line, I mean, I encountered people, callers, they were craving touch.
Yeah.
And I had others who didn't want to know where to be touched.
Right, that's true. It
So
really
how
is
do
a
you?
choice.
So how do you? I guess somebody who's coming, they want to be touched. They understand.
Because it really is a choice. Because it's all different forms of holistic healing, but Reiki is really touching the body, really touching you. And if you want that, it can be very healing. I mean, there's other things like yoga where it's not really someone touching you. You're doing it on your own, and so you're healing yourself through various of exercises and movements and stuff. I find yoga to be good, but I find it to be hard.
Yes.
I've taken some yoga classes in my lifetime, and I think I'm still recovering from some of those moves.
Right.
I mean, we took it as part of our training in peer support. Back in the day. But yes, it was wonderful. I loved it. But it's something maybe going forward I may want to explore again.
Yeah. I mean, I don't do it on other people. I do it for myself. I know people that do have a Reiki practice. I just at the time just needed it for myself, and I still do. So I try to do that for myself.
So you practice your?
Yes, I practice.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I
Every
have a
day?
certificate. Not every day, but maybe once a week, twice a week. Sometimes you get into like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to help myself. And I, sometimes I push myself to say, you know what, Reiki has helped, so I'm going to use that form of healing.
Right.
So.
I like this. I have to look more into this. Because
Yeah.
I like the thought of just not it being yoga and you self-healing yourself. There's nothing wrong with self-healing, but it's definitely a need when someone else touches you and make you feel better too. Like I've never even knew that.
And it's a spiritual practice. If you do it long enough, sometimes you can feel the feelings and what's going on with other people. It could be psychic in a way, but don't go into it for that. But some people have done it so long they actually feel something from that person. And then they'll explain to you,
Right.
I felt that you're not feeling well,
Yes.
or
Right.
and they can't know any of that because you haven't told them that.
Yeah.
So it really is really incredible.
That's so awesome. Reiki, your form of peer support. Absolutely. Your ladies are just so talented. You're just
So
so.
are you,
Yes.
Cynthia.
I mean,
But thank you for having us to share this talent with you and the audience.
well, thank you for being a guest. So you're doing knitting. What do you knit and how long have you knitted?
I
And
started-
how does it make you feel?
I actually crochet and knit. I started knitting maybe like 20 years ago, just as a hobby to make blankets for my children. Almost like self-taught. I seen a elderly lady in the yarn store, and she showed me how to make a granny square, and I just took it from there. And maybe like 4 years ago, again just picked up the knitting thing. No, I take that back. My girlfriend showed me something called arm knitting on YouTube, and me, I'm very creative. I love doing anything. I started to arm knit, and I don't know, my mind was like, this is the most fascinating thing ever, that I could take yarn and make with my hands, with my fingers. So then I learned how to arm knit, finger knit, and slowly someone asked me to make them something. And I was surprised that someone wanted something that I just simply made in 20 minutes. And that just gave me like a boost of confidence. Like, wow, people like my stuff.
So in the holiday season, do you make more? Do you get requests? Do you?
I get requests. So it's now been like 3 years. I branded my name. It's called She Knots.
Hear that your she knots.
She Knots, being she makes beautiful knots out of yarn.
That's beautiful.
Yes, and so I've now got to where I have customers. I take custom orders.
Oh, wow.
And it's
Where
been
can they
like
find you?
like a little business.
Yeah, so I made it a little business, and you can find me at She Knots on Facebook, She Knots on Instagram.
I'm going to look it up. Yeah.
And She Knots, I have a meetup group called She Knots Peer Support Meetup Group. And that's just where we're at with it. I can't say so much because I don't know where it's taking me. I'm just allowing this road to just flow. So it's almost like one thing led into another thing, led into another thing. Today, I had a holiday pop-up shop today at the same time that I had this. So I had to make a decision, like what was more important to me at the moment. Now, I do sell my yarn, and I love it, and I enjoy it, and I also enjoy making a little side money because it is the holiday season, extra stress. But I also said that I'm so big on peer support and so big on letting people know that there's other things that you can do to ease your mind when you're feeling low and down, that I wanted to come on this
Hopefully,
show.
after all these millions of people view you on Bronxnet, you're going to get a whole lot of other customers. You know that, right?
I enjoy the customers, and I also enjoy just talking to people because, again, I am a peer support. So I do have experienced life that can help someone else. So I'm just not a yarner, even though that is my favorite thing to do, but I'm a yarner who loves to talk about life situations. So yarn is like a plus. So it's like me plus the yarn plus you equals some type of solution for both our problems.
That is wonderful.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Wow, that's awesome.
With a piece of yarn, it's like a tapestry.
Yes.
It's like your canvas.
Yes.
I feel that way sometimes, when I'm taking a photograph, when I'm painting. That is that tapestry.
Yes.
Yes.
We're putting stuff together. In itself is not much, but together, that's part of your peer support.
Yes.
This part, that part, what can we do together?
Yes.
You're part of the yarn, I'm a part of the yarn. We're part of that image. You're part of that image.
Yes.
And together,
We can make a beautiful blanket.
absolutely. My goodness. So as we start to roll out, as we start to come to an end, thank you again, both ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For being part of mental health, and you. As I said, we've come through the holidays.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But we didn't come through all the stress. But we're dealing with it.
Yes.
Yes.
Day
That's
by
part
day.
of life. But
Yes.
what can we do? You got your yarn, you know, your yawning, as you say,
Yes.
you know. You have your advocacy, but we both have that.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
what does that entail? What does that advocacy entail? Your yawning, your public speaking,
Yes.
your support groups. What is
Yeah.
the name of that group for men?
Well, it's for
Black men?
it's
Black
for
men?
well, it's for not just black men, but it's an issue about them that we all want to work on, and it's black women too. So and people of color, you know, immigrants, everybody, you know, the LGBT community, everybody is involved in this.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's called Surviving Race: The Intersection of Human Rights, Disability. Human rights, disability. I'm making the name. I'm always saying surviving race, but find us on Facebook.
Okay. Facebook, y'all.
Yes.
Social media.
Social media's the new wave now.
Don't, but come out of social media sometimes because it's been
Yes.
my experience. I can be on Instagram so much. I started to get depressed.
Yeah.
You
Yes,
know,
yes.
so I mean that's
Yes.
a show. You know, maybe
a
we'll talk
television.
about that at another show. You know, social media and depression, but we're doing things. We're doing the things
Yes.
that we got to do. You know, we're being
Yes.
peer specialists. We're doing it in our own way.
Yes.
But I want to thank you both again. I want to thank the also the engineers and staff of Bronxnet. I wanted, you know, just for giving me the platform as a peer specialist to have these lovely ladies on, talk about peer support, opening the lines of peer support. What does it mean? What does it mean? And what will it mean in the years going forward, in the days going forward? Again, I want to thank you. This is Cynthia Timms from Mental Health and You. Till next time. Ladies, we got to have a part 2. You know that, right?
Yes.
we
Yes.
do.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much. May what's it called? Is this 220?
Yes.
2020. My God, we've reached another decade, y'all.
Yes.
What we gonna do? My God. Thank you so much. God bless you. Peace and light.
Yes. 2020.